right. Hi, and welcome back, everyone. I'm Kerry Siggins, CEO of StoneAge, which is the parent company of Breadware. And I'm so excited to have my guest today, Jennifer Wathen, who is the president of EDC Technologies. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive into this. So can you tell us a little bit about EDC Technologies? What is it that you do? What are you experts in?
Sure. So EDC Technologies is a parent company that has an entity called SaveGas.com. So SaveGas.com, we've been in business for about 36 plus years now, and we're basically energy management technology currently for centralized hot water systems in the multifamily sector, hotels, commercial, and we save energy on hot water is our basic premise.
And who are your typical customers? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No problem. A typical customer for us would be mainly the multi-family sector, which would be large buildings with tenants, anywhere from 50 units, 50 dwelling units, all the way up to, as big as you can be. We've had some that has, 3,000 units. And we are installed on their centralized hot water system. Also, a big component of us is hotels. So we're on a lot of hotel chains, and we are based out of California, but we do have presence throughout the United States, Hawaii, back east. And so we've also branched out into some commercial sectors, some restaurants, and anything that has a centralized hot water system. They'd have to have that and not individual water heaters, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what makes you different? I know that there's, probably people out there kind of playing around in the space, but what do you do differently?
So the technology that we have, a lot of people can, they want to save energy especially because of high gas prices, especially, with what's been going on with the world in the last couple of years, right? So basically you have a hot water system that has its different components and all that. And you can install high efficiency water heaters. You can install gadgets that save you energy and whatnot. But the difference about our equipment is we come in, we install this technology that sits and basically looks at the entire system as a whole. So we will monitor the boilers or the hot water heaters. We'll also monitor the whole entire loop, which would be the pipes going out to the tenants, coming back, the storage tanks, all the components as a whole. And then we install some sensors on the pipes that give you actual temperature readings straight from your mobile phone, from your desktop. We're online at SaveGas.com, and we can tell you exactly what your temperatures are. We can keep safe temperatures. If let's say we're on a senior care, you want to make sure that you're not scalding people and whatnot. But what's most important is you want everyone to have adequate hot water, but you also want to be able to save energy. And how do you do that with still giving them hot water during the ample demand periods, or the ample hot water during high demand periods? So what we do is we monitor the system. We read it and watch it over a period of time after we install, and we kind of learn their system and learn when they're home, when the tenants are home, when they go to work, when they come home, when they need the temperatures to ramp back up again. And we can work with that and provide custom settings. So with that said, we're not going to provide hot water at the highest. We're not going to crank your hot water all day long when you really don't need it to be that hot. We're going to read when you need it to be that hot. And then when can we turn it down a little bit, not off, but a little bit. And that's huge amount. If you save 5, 10, 15, 20% on how often your system is being hot, that's a huge gas reduction and electricity reduction in a building and a carbon footprint for a building. So that, along with having the eyes to your system, you can tell when things are broken. You can tell when you might need to call someone out before the whole system goes down. So the monitoring side of it, along with the energy saving side of it, has been where we found our niche and why customers want it. They can be proactive versus reactive, and it's really grown itself over all the years. I think, which is why we're still here, if that makes sense.
And you've been, yeah, totally. So I want to talk a little bit more about the business, but I'm curious, where the monitoring happens. Is it with like building maintenance, or can tenants actually be able to customize their hot water needs based on, when they're in their apartment or hotel room or something like that? Or is it really at the maintenance level within the building?
It's at the building's hub centralized hot water system. So no, a tenant cannot say, oh, I'm not using hot water or whatnot. Now keep in mind, most of these buildings, the owner of the building or the owner's paying the bill, right? So that's the person that's interested in the energy savings. When a customer comes on and wants to really see the data and get involved in that, they can fine tune their system in a couple different ways. They can have custom settings from us because we are an IoT company and do our own production of our R&D and whatnot. We've been able to make custom reports for people. If this portfolio that has 50 buildings wants to do a certain report out to their property managers every Monday, we'll do that for them. Something else for someone else. We also have certain parameters that, like hotels, they can't be over a certain heat and they can't be under because they have inspectors coming through. So we actually create reports that they can hand to the inspectors, and the inspectors actually use those reports and go online and say, okay, this SaveGas control is controlling and these are the temperatures, and they compare to what our readings are. And we've even helped people in lawsuits. We've had people say, a building will say, hey, I have a tenant that says that they haven't had hot water for an amount of time, and, literally lukewarm water. Well, we can show them exactly what their temperatures have been, historical data. As long as we've been installed there, we can go back in time. And it's that actually win court proceedings, right, or lawsuits, they've actually won with the data. So that's been a great thing. And some people only have us installed just to monitor. Sometimes they don't even have a setback, let's say, for control. So it's very customizable. The one thing I will say that sets us apart, if we have a competitor out there, is we're not a widget. We do come and install our technology, but behind it, we have a team of people, and those people can talk to you. So if you have an alarm that comes through from our control that says, hey, you have low hot water or what have you, you can call us and talk to us, and we can talk you through what you might be seeing. And we can say, hey, we do think that you need a contractor to come out and check this out. Or did you know that your return line is just turned off? Maybe you guys were fixing something and you turned something off. You just need to turn it right back on again. You don't need to hire a contractor to come out and charge you $200 to tell you that. We are there. Just let us help you. We're that tool. You should use us. So the team is what sets us apart from the rest. Again, we're just not a widget that we throw on and we'll walk away. Good luck type of a thing.
Yep. And so I think that's a really interesting aspect, because I think a lot of people would think about cost savings just in the actual control side of it. But the being able to, know when to call somebody out or know when not to call somebody out to perform maintenance on the system is also a significant piece of the cost savings that they would get out of using your system. Is that correct? Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, 100%. And then what's interesting is we are not against contractors. We want to work with your contractor, because when we install in your building, that contractor comes out and he's the number one person that can go and unplug our control. What we want when we install is we want, hey, tell your contractor we're coming and we're going to install this. He needs to be there with us, and let us show him how it works. Let him use it as a tool. And we have a contractor, we have a couple actually now, that they know that our system is on a lot of their buildings. They've asked permission from the building to say, hey, I want to look at the SaveGas data. Can I look at that before I come out and tell you whether or not you really need me to come to your property? Because what's happened for him is he goes out to a lot of places where it's not something he can fix at all. And that's a waste of a trip for him. So he's noticed that he's brought his own overhead down by being able to log into that building's data for that customer, work as a team with us and say, SaveGas control's not showing it's a problem for me. You guys just need to do this at the building and we're good to go. And that relationship that he builds then with that customer, and him just not billing them for random trips, has been huge. He's growing now because they all trust everybody. Everyone trusts they're getting value in the contractor, SaveGas, and that their building is up to par. That's been really great. Like that was the kicker with the contractors, that the contractors saw the value in the tool too. So that's where the monitoring, like you need data 24 hours, 365, and from the touch of your phone. We just recently got a mobile app, and that was great because a property manager, like let's say you, and you may be someone that's not familiar with hot water at all. You don't even know where the boiler room is, right? We can tell you how to get on. We can quickly show you how to read this stuff because it's just digital readouts. Very easy. You don't have to be an expert. And we can tell you, hey, look at your temperatures, see if they look bad. Call us if you have a question. Do it from your desk. Do it from your home office. With COVID, everyone's working from home now. And then decide whether or not you really need to elevate that to someone else. But that's been just having eyes to your system from anywhere, anytime. That's been great.
Yeah, I love that. And in our industry, on the industrial cleaning side, as we've launched IoT-enabled products, we are seeing that same sort of trifecta relationship with the facility owner, with the contractor, and then with the OEM. And it makes such a powerful team when you can get everybody working together to say, how do we do this as efficiently as possible, as effectively as possible, so you can get back up and running. So I love that you shared that story because it definitely resonates very much with me. And it's an important piece to keep in mind, right? You have to think about all the people in the supply chain, in the service chain, and figure out how you're going to add value to them to make a successful IoT product. So that's really cool that you did that. Did you see that going into it as you were developing these products, or was that kind of what came after, as you started working with the building owners to install these systems, like how the contractor would, or how the service provider would play into it?
Well, what started happening is when you put monitoring on a building, and you can tell the building person or maintenance person who just had service out there that the boiler might still be down, and then they say, well, the contractor was just here. That is
Right.
Exposure. And we would then have a contractor think that was negative exposure. And really, yes, we didn't want that at all, because we would always come out and we would disconnect our system, but keep the monitoring. We would disconnect our setbacks, right? Let it just monitor on its own. And then we would show a boiler maybe go down, and we would prove that it wasn't our technology taking it down. It was the problem with the boiler. And finally, we started to go out and talk to the contractors and say, hey, we are not your enemy. We are a tool that building person, that building management, or I'm sorry, the building, that customer's paying for that. Use it. You can use it too. Mm-hmm. They just have to tell you that you can use it. It's your boiler system, right? To the contractor. It's your baby. We just want to give you the data. And when they finally started to accept that, and know that we are right along by their side, we don't want to expose them in a bad way, we want to give them that tool, they started to realize, how can this help us? How can we streamline our own systems? And they can grow now because they're just not running around, like I said, with trucks, just, oh, it's not this problem, that was a waste of time. So it started as exposure in the beginning. And then we had to figure out, how do we make that exposure a good thing for people? And now I want to partner with contractors, and that's been our focus now. We want to partner with the contractors because we can all work as a team and grow. We can be on their buildings, they can be on our buildings, type of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It makes total sense. Okay. So being an almost 40-year-old company, you obviously didn't do IoT from the beginning. So when did you first start to develop these smart products, and what is the vision going forward?
So, quick backstory. This is a family owned company, and my father started it years ago, and I was not involved then. But when I came, I remember being there and listening to him, and they used to have to go out to every single building, manually plug in this control. They would download all the information. They would go back to the office. They would fax the data to the customer back in the day, and they would get faxed printouts, and they could compare, what their usage was last year or last month to this month. And it was manual downloads. And my poor dad and the few people they had working for him had to truck out to these places and do it. Then, smart technology came about, and my chief technical officer today said to him, hey, IoT is the way of the world. And in the beginning, my dad being a little bit older than, and, not really with that, didn't want to branch. I didn't want to do it technology either when it came on. But when you embrace it finally, he was like, and what this chief technical officer said is, if you do not do this and you do not stay with this in the forefront of technology, this business won't last. You are already a data company. You just don't know it. You're manually downloading data. You just don't have it online yet. And to bridge that gap was huge for him, for Terry, for the owner of the company, the president then. And he's like, okay, I get it. So now our technology, to give you a brief background, we are like a cell phone. So how we communicate is with a SIM card, just like a cell phone. If you have bad communication somewhere, like, hey, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Our technology also will have a little bit of trouble. So we need to make sure we can see a cell tower. But regardless, we're always chasing the 3, the 4G, 5G now. So we are always keeping up, and we're getting faster and faster. The internet gets faster and faster. Hence the new mobile app and all that. So no, it was not always that, but we had to jump on with it, and we always have to keep moving forward. I think that's why we've been here for so long, is we always have to keep improving. And we're not a widget that just sits and kind of goes away. So that's probably why.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. And when you were building these connected devices, what were some of the lessons that you learned along the way?
Probably how to when you're saving energy. This is where utility companies came on board, and we did the quick story of utility is we got talking to PG&E about 20 years ago, and they did a study with us, and they said, hey, this stuff looks to work. We did a 10-year study with PG&E, and they finally came about and said, wow, you actually have benchmarking savings. We're going to go ahead and create work papers for your product, and we're going to create a rebate for you, or a rebate for your actual product. And when that came about, people really find that if a utility company backs something, if you're going to get a rebate for something, for some reason that people just want it, they believe in it. So when that started happening and we started to grow, and we then moved into SoCal utilities and all that, and now we have Hawaii that we're talking to their utility, and then Pacific Northwest, that was huge, because now you are a green product, and people as soon as they hear that you can lower their carbon footprint, they're all about that, especially being a California-based company. We're very, very much about green out here. So when we came on with the utility companies, that was a huge win. And even to today, PG&E went away for a little bit, and kind of, boilers came out that were high efficiency, and they kind of thought, well, does SaveGas still matter? And they went away for a little bit, but then they came back, and now I have another program with them. And they're like, hey, we still love your stuff. We're still looking at your data. We believe we don't just save energy on installing high efficiency boilers. We need to see the entire thing. We need to save on every component on the hot water system, not just one. And that was eye-opening. And then just realizing, we have people want to buy the company and whatnot, but, we don't want to turn away from this service company that we are. If we don't have this people that I have sitting there talking to the customers and understanding what they have, it doesn't, then they'll just let it falter. They'll just let it unplug. They'll just let it maybe go obsolete. And having us talking to you and understanding what it's about, we learned that that's the key. And so even though we were presented with opportunities to, hey, let's grow you guys, let us buy this company from you, we'll just throw them everywhere. It's like, no, we have to stay small and know what we're doing. And what's interesting is we have about a 96% retention rate. What that means to us is the building sells. We're installed on that building. When you come in to buy a building, right, you're looking at what those rates are, what the utilities are, right? Well, when they bought the building, we were in an energy savings mode, probably saving 20% on the gas bill. The old owner calls us up and says, we need to cancel the service. We're not going to be owners of the building anymore. We said, well, we're going to go ahead and keep the SaveGas control installed in an energy savings mode. We're going to put you on billing hold, and we would like to talk to the new owners once they're there. And we'll talk to them and tell them what's installed. Because if we just remove this, that's not fair to them. Once we tell them what they have, once they're there, they said, oh, well, of course we love this stuff, and now we have another client. So it's just that new client, it builds itself. That's been the greatest thing ever, is the customer retention rate and how it just grows on its own. We don't really have to cold call. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very compelling value proposition. There's no doubt. I can absolutely see that. So what is next? What does the future look like for EDC technology, for SaveGas? What does 5 years look like?
Well, right now we are growing, and because what's happened is, and thank you, COVID, they're all about energy consciousness way before when they were, right? Now they're all knocking on our door. We are thinking about, we have EDC as our parent company, and we have our SaveGas.com control. But we now have to save electricity, and we need to save on other items. So everyone comes to us and says, or a lot of people come to us, our existing customers say, we need a technology that does this. Can we plug into your control and read this and read that, and type of different things? And we do space heat now. So we're growing, and we're growing now all across the United States. So our goal is to grow in that fashion. We have portfolios that are California, but their really big presence is out of state. So we telecommute. Our next big push is to do contracting. We need to contract with the contractors in the different areas, because we don't want to drive everywhere and service this. We want them to be able to service it in their area. So we thought about franchising, things like that, but we need to go slow about it. And for us to keep the control that we have, but branch off in the customization is being really what we need. And utility companies are not always going to be ready to just buy onto our stuff. So we have reasonable installs, and it's reasonable monthly pricing. So we want to make sure that our ROIs are very high, but we want to make sure that even though we save energy, we want that energy savings to go towards what we may cost as well, so that we're a very small out of pocket for someone. So 5-year goal, nationwide, and being able to reach all of our customers, because you have the portfolio that's nationwide, but we're only in California. When they found that they loved the eyes to their system in California, they want it everywhere now. They want it all in all the buildings, because they've streamlined their own internal overview of their product or their buildings as well. So it's like, oh, we need this everywhere. So, and I'm finding IoT is actually much more sought after back east. California is, but you get these people, New York, Florida, all the Carolinas, all that. People, especially where it's warmer too, they have to be able to see that their air conditioning is working and things like that. And I'm not saying we do HVAC, but the things that we can monitor, people want it on everything now. They just don't want California. So I think to answer your question, we're going to grow, but we want to grow slow, because we want to be able to make sure that we do it right. And I don't want to have customers that you overpromise, underdeliver. We want to grow at the right rate with our customers.
Yep. It makes total sense. I love the vision. Okay. Final question, before we wrap things up. So you've gone through developing this product. What's the best let me say it again. What is the best piece of advice that you would like to give somebody who's looking to develop an IoT-enabled product?
Best advice. I would say probably what I just mentioned. Don't go too fast with it, because even though the sky's the limit with IoT today, but again, I just mentioned it. If you overpromise and you can't deliver, it will bite you in the butt. And to give you a quick example, we have, let's say, 5 alarms that go off, a standard alarms on our equipment, and we have 30 to 40 internal alarms that we can see. But if we gave everyone that, people would be alarmed. They wouldn't know what to do with it. They would be, we have no hot water. They would be freaking out. And the last thing you want to do is, again, with COVID, is really tell people that there's something going on that's wrong when it's not that big of a deal. So I think knowing what you have as a product and starting small, and don't give everybody everything they think they want, because you have to still be valuable to yourself, to your company, and where you can hold back a little bit and kind of give them a little bit of a time and really fine tune what features you give. Because if you don't do that, you probably won't succeed.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, completely. Yep. Just, tread lightly. Yep.
Yeah. Nope. Great advice. Well, Jennifer, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Where can people find you? If they want to go find SaveGas, find you, where should they look?
It's great. Thank you so much for having me. So the best thing to do right now is just go straight to our website. We're SaveGas.com. We should come up fairly, simple to find. And right on there, you can reach out, you can request a survey. There's a couple of videos on there. I recently narrated a video, it's a 10-minute video, but it goes through all the process and what exactly we deliver to people or give to people. So basically just SaveGas.com is the best place to go for today.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Really enjoyed hosting you. Looking forward to working with you. So thank you everybody for joining us on the show today. We look forward to hosting you next month. And thank you again, Jennifer.
Thank you. Bye.